Hello, it's still March the 21st. Bring back Yankee Wally, the Duchess of Sussex Nemesis, should not be canceled. Now, this is an article, and I'm going to get into it in just a moment, but it's quite long, and I'm going to read it out in its entirety because I feel it's very important. So if you have something to do, fold some clothes. If you're cooking, this is perfect just to sit to the side and listen to the article. But we finally got a good one that we can read. My disclaimer. And this is courtesy of Lilibet Lady. And you can see Meghan when the infamous day that she was losing whatever it was up on her belly and was falling down to her knees. So you can see right here, she's arriving, she's holding it up right here. She still thinks she's supporting it, but it's starting to slip down slightly. And right here, it is at the bottom, right at her knees. And it's like she's not even concerned, but I can see Harry over to the side, and he is looking straight at it. And see, there's nothing there at the top of her stomach anymore. So what was that? Was she wearing a prosthetic moon bump? Was she just a little bloated that day? All we want is for her to come out and tell us the truth. If she had her children through surrogacy, that's fine. But just don't lie about it. Be truthful. There's no shame in not being able to bear children, if that is the case. And I don't know. But this is why we question her so much. And it's been proven now in a court of law that she lies. So that's fact. And it's just the things that she says and does. It just blows our minds because it's always inconsistent. So let's focus on the good things today. Now back to our royal news. And let me just get back up to the beginning of this article. All right. Again, that's the title. This was in the steepletimes.com. Matthew Steeples slams the vindictive campaign against YouTube sensation Sadie Quinlan, known as Yankee Wally, by the mendacious Sussex Squad, groupies led by PR peddlers Omid Scobie and Christopher Boozy, and helped along by a bashful BuzzFeed News busybody named Ellie Hall. The Duchess of Sussex has an inconvenient past she'd most certainly rather forget. Her nemesis, Sadie Quinlan, a.k.a. Yankee Wally, has just such too. Whilst witty Welsh warbler, Quinlan served her time and has openly admitted her prior indiscretions. The mendacious minx, that is the former Meghan Markle, has most certainly never been open. For example, about her supposed past relationship with a gay porn actor known as Dirt Nasty. She was also forced to apologize to the appeal court in London in November 2021 and has been called out for being a bully, allegedly also. Now, after a busybody Washington, D.C. based senior reporter for BuzzFeed News named Ellie Hall last week produced a somewhat lackluster article linking the Duchess of Sussex, half-sister Samantha Markle, to Sadie Quinlan. The latter's YouTube Yankee Wally channel has been closed. It was done so after the snitch on her sources, Hall, sent her so-called evidence to the social media sharing medium and thereby proved herself not to be a reportage writer, but instead a troll-like campaigner. Again, we're not the trolls. That's a targeted attack or attempt and going after someone like on their sites. We're not doing that. We don't go on theirs and say anything, and we just talk about it on here. According to Joker, not a journo, Hall, a clearly woke spokesman for YouTube named Jack Malone, told her, upon review, we have terminated the Yankee Wally channel for repeated violations of our harassment policy, which prohibits content targeting individuals based on intrinsic attributes. We enforce this policy equally for everyone, and channels that repeatedly violate or are dedicated to violate content terminated. Whenever we finish filming our videos, we go back into the YouTube creator software, we upload it, and it goes through a rigorous check, and they approve it or they deny it and tell us what's wrong with it. But when they approve it, then you go in and you start putting in your tags, your titles, your description, your disclaimers, any other links or anything that you need to do. And once you've got it up there, it takes you another 15 or 20 minutes just to get it set to turn on. So it's already been checked and approved by YouTube. Now YouTube goes back and denies Yankee Wally the right to have hers. So he goes on to say, responding, Matthew Steeples of the Steeple Times commented, whilst the opinions of Sadie Quinlan might not be to everyone's taste, she is as entitled to her views as much as anyone else. Just like with the case of Sean Atwood, whose YouTube account has also been removed on occasions. The process, and he does a lot. He did a lot on Mr. J.E. and Miss Maxwell. I don't want to get banned either, so but you'll know what I'm talking about. And he's done them on a lot of other shady characters, we'll just say. So in the case of Sean Atwood, whose YouTube account has been removed on occasions, the process by which some occurs is clearly beyond strangely and stupidly regulated. Whilst YouTube is entitled to control its domain in whatever manner it chooses, the fact that a Welsh woman is cancelled for simply discussing a topic clearly of interest to her nigh of 50,000 followers seems ludicrous in the extreme. Miss Quinlan, to me, seems as dangerous as a chocolate teapot, whilst those campaigning against her, headed by PR peddlers Omid Scobie and Christopher Boozy, are the true villains of this piece. Elsewhere, on Friday, the Daily Express reported that after the Daily Mail diarist Richard Eden shared news that he had been contracted coronavirus, a Clear Sussex Squad supporter with the handle of @Royals_Sussex trolled him with a meme featuring the reprehensibly vindictive words, "If he dies, he dies." Now he's talking about Palace Confidential's and the Daily Express reporter Richard Eden. So, because he's had things to say and question about Meghan and Harry's behavior. Jealous to her core, the wife of the dim-witted drip Prince Harry has never managed to get over the fact that the British public love the Duchess of Cambridge, yet loathe her. You could see all the times that she was giving Kate a dirty look, and she thought it was a popularity contest, and that as the popularity rose, that she thought if she became more popular, then she would be the one to sit on the throne, and they'd just push William and Kate aside. Well, it doesn't work that way. For someone who claims to be so intelligent, she really doesn't come off as that, because this should have all been common sense. And don't say she didn't know, because she had people working with her, the top aides, Queen Elizabeth personally assigned to her to go over everything from royal protocol, from how to greet someone, how to go on these to the events, how to greet the public, all of these things. In the picture below, the Duchess of Sussex love life prior to bagging Prince Harry involved a fair amount of what could only be termed lowlifes. The finest example was most certainly tattooed trash bag Simon Rex Cutright, and that's him in the picture below. And I'll tell you, he was somebody that that did X-rated movies. He started out as a I wanted to say, was it TRL or one of those like pop shows where they interview musical artists, and then I guess things weren't going so well, and he explained it, because I read a different article on him that said that he was with a older woman who had a son, and that he was living with her, and they had rent coming due, and neither one were working at the time, and she was doing some sketchy things, and she told him, here's a quick way to go make some money. So it was things that he was doing to himself, so he went and did it and got some fast cash for it, but that stays with you the rest of your life. So this gay porn actor turned musician, Simon Rex Cutright, a.k.a. Dirty Nasty, shown here in a somewhat intoxicated state in a video shared on YouTube, supposedly dated, and then Meghan Markle in 2000 and whatever it was. He claims to have received a letter from her after refusing to sell his story on how they hung out after doing a TV show together and meeting for lunch. So he was like, "Oh yeah, I was on the show and we went out for an innocent lunch after." Even though there were people trying to get him to sell his story, he said they were trying to get him to say he had done something with her, but he said that he'd never done anything. But anyway, we'll go on. And it goes on to say that he claims to have received a letter from the Duchess thanking him for refusing his story and saying that, she was so glad that there were still good people in the world that existed like him. Please. And then here's a Sussex Squad member saying, if he dies, he dies. And this was the one that we were talking about Richard Eden after he had contracted the coronavirus. And then, that's the kind of things they send to us. We get emailed, we get messaged, they go on our different sites and do that. They do that to royal reporters, Piers Morgan, people who stand up against them or speak out on their ill behavior. Can anyone solve a problem like Meghan? In November 2021, the Duchess was forced to apologize to the appeal court in London for making a misleading statement in her privacy case against the Mail on Sunday publishers. That was in the part that she had claimed she didn't have anything to do with finding freedom, and then Jason Knott brought the emails where she was telling him, here's the background information on my family, my sister, and she made them look in a very poor light. And she was having Jason go over and meet with Omid and Carolyn allegedly and pass the information to them that she wanted in the book. Her very own father, Thomas, has called her out with many untruths about him and others again, and again. On her claiming having gotten married the day before she actually did, Mr. Markle stated, lying about the Archbishop, how can you say that? We've been married 3 days before we got married. Remember, Meghan said that in the chicken coop at the Oprah interview, and Harry hung his head low, and then he started singing under his breath, just the three of us. Her lies are so obvious, and I don't know why she says them. Her very own half-sister, Samantha Markle, has called the woman formerly known as Meghan Markle out as a liar on multiple occasions also. It has been proven that the Duchess's claims that she hasn't seen her sibling in over 20 years, but was proven untrue, and a photo of the pair 13 years ago then emerged. So we've seen photos, and Samantha has all of this proof, or else she wouldn't file a defamation lawsuit against her if she couldn't prove her side, because she has the preponderance of the evidence comes down to her being able to prove her case of what Meghan allegedly did to her. Her very own half-brother, Thomas Jr., said of her, I told Prince Harry I think she's going to ruin your life. She's very shallow. She's a phony, a bully, a jaded, shallow, conceited woman. The former Meghan Markle also called out on multiple occasions for spinning stories against other members of the royal family, most especially the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. It was proven in one of my previous videos that she was entangled with a guy at Soho House and colluded with him to go out and tweet and spread rumors to say that William was seeing Rose Hanbury, which were not true at all. This Sussex Squad and Meghan wants to be divisive, and they want to divide people who are truly in love. They want to drive a wedge between them, anything they can do to get them a step closer to the throne. Staff who've worked for her have complained that she's a bully, and investigations into this remain ongoing. The Duchess of Sussex is a known manipulator of the press and paparazzis, and it has been claimed that she'll twist the truth to get any headline that she wants. So she uses clickbait, and just like this thing about going to the Oscars, she just wants to be in the headlines. She doesn't want people to forget about her, and that's what's making people despise them. Questions remain as to how many times she's actually been married in total. Some say twice, some say thrice. I think that she was married the first time to Joseph Giuliano that she had met at college, and because I've seen pictures of her in a white wedding gown and him in a suit and bridesmaids in matching dresses, but because his family was Catholic, I think what they did was they sought an annulment, and that must have been when she was becoming Catholic, or the first time, even though she went to Catholic school, when she thought, okay, I'll become Catholic for a guy. And then we know with Trevor, she became Jewish. And then we know with Harry, it was the Church of England, Protestant. So, the next thing, last bullet point. Would you trust this woman with a barge pole? Is something often asked of this money-motivated minx. And this is a picture of Ellie Hall, and it's her Twitter site. And she goes on to say, in her tweet, official statement from YouTube on the termination of Yankee Wally's channel. Upon review, we have terminated the Yankee Wally channel for repeated violations of our harassment policy, which prohibits content targeting individuals based on intrinsic attributes. We enforce this policy equally to everyone, and channels then repeatedly violate are dedicated to volatile content and are terminated. And that's from a YouTube spokesperson, which is probably an attorney, Jack Milan. So she was a nasty piece of work. She's a leftist Democrat, all in that woke brigade where they will do anything to promote their people and drag somebody else down. And this is the one that tricked Yankee Wally. That the senior reporter was keener to brag about getting her source canceled than actually reporting a true story speaks volume, as her lack of decency and respect for honesty in the profession she claims to be part of. So in that below, it says Yankee Wally's YouTube channel has been removed for multiple severe violations. Then she tweets, Samantha Markle is suing her sister Meghan for defamation, and she's been smearing Meghan for years. Not true. This is not the work of crusading journalists, but instead that of someone obsessed with getting revenge on someone she simply doesn't like. So she's an anti-monarchist. She doesn't, believe in having the royal family. Well, she lives in the U.S. A lot of people feel that way. A lot of people don't recognize the titles over here because we don't carry them. And that's why one of the reasons it makes me so angry that Meghan uses her title. We don't recognize it here in the U.S. So, of course, we've got CB up here, and he says, the columnist says, clear crackpot Christopher Boozy is another fine example of a troll dedicated to causing trouble for anyone who dares to speak the very first order in spite of claiming to be a campaigner against such. And then, of course, there's Omid. Omid then has been highlighted in the Steeple Times for what he truly is on a number of occasions. He is anything but an honest journalist and instead blocks real ones such as Richard Eden. The first time I made a comment on his, I was blocked, and I was respectful. I just had a difference of opinion. And he's just a wimp. Because he cannot face the truth, that he simply a peddler of piffle and poison on behalf of a woman and her husband who've insulted the Queen and her family a little beyond too often. And then Scobie puts on there, Happy Friday, the account has been terminated due to multiple severe violations. This just, it frustrates me because it shouldn't be the case, because Yankee will say that, or it seems like, or where she got her information from, but believe me, we all keep what we create, so we have something to back it up. The Finding Freedom authors delight in the explanation of a Welsh woman from YouTube is a clear indication that he is nothing but a pathetic specimen worthy of sectioning to Siberia. I'd go along with that. Then another Sussex person says, Diana, Queen of Hearts, that's her handle. Meghan was too in the hospital. Yankee Wally did not care. She is now in the hospital and we don't care. So she's talking about when Meghan supposedly went in the hospital with her so-called, abortion, or termination. And she goes on to say, Meghan too was in hospital. Yankee Wally did not care. I see she is now in the hospital and we don't care. Well, she has been released. She was released in the early morning hours. Now because we haven't talked to Wally, we're still getting mixed information about the Rumble account, but it doesn't hurt, and hopefully she'll be able to speak out to us real soon. In fact, I've got a brief email that I'll read out, I think, in the next video. But she says Meghan too was in the hospital. Yankee Wally did not care. She is now in hospital and we don't care. So that's all of this. If you didn't like and subscribe, I hope you'll do that. I do have one more article that's a favorable article that I'd like to read to you, but I'm going to end this video and create a new one for that, and that will be freedom of speech. So I'll talk to you all soon. Don't forget, give me a thumbs up, give me a comment, even if you just get an emoji in there. Because when you're subscribed to a channel and your notifications are set to all, sometimes you just aren't notified. But if you go on a channel and you like it, and even if you just put emojis in there in the comment section, it will help those videos come up for you so you can decide whether or not you want to watch them. So thank you again for listening, and I'll be back soon. Everyone have a great evening.